Ladies and gentlemen, K Kim here. Welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Good day trading today. Market is up. S&P is up about 0.7% today. Today, market was led by the semiconductor. Semiconductors up 3% today. Nasdaq close to 2%. Everything else around 1%. Dow, small caps, transport. We did see banks down about 0.8% today, so banks were kind of dragging it down while the semiconductor was leading the market. So S&P kind of sandwiched in between and finished the day with the 0.7%. So let's analyze this market here real quick and trying to figure out what we can expect going into tomorrow, potentially rest of this week. So looking at the S&P here, this is where it opened this morning, right? So looked like there was a gap up and quickly that gap got filled, and we all know that when the gap gets filled, it's going to act as resistance. However, the good thing about this gap up was that there was a gap open last week, which we talked about over the weekend video, you know, and then it was a good thing that market gapped up. And I wasn't watching this morning. I didn't watch it until the midday when I tweeted out you know, like afternoon time. So I really didn't know what was going on last time when I was first opened my trading station here, and just kind of, it was like somewhere about here somewhere. So I don't know what happened in the first hour. I don't know if it went up first, came down first. It doesn't matter. But good news is that that gap was filled, right? So the gap got filled. And then I don't know if that acted as resistance right away and came down, or it came down first and filled that gap, got up. Doesn't matter, but definitely that gap got filled, and that's a good sign. Another good sign is a lot of times when the gap gets filled, and this is a pretty decent sized gap down, I have to say. And for, you know, last Friday, for several hours, we were struggling beneath that gap area. And so you know, a lot of times, you know, conventional climate, right? You know, normal circumstances, usually you would see when the gap gets filled, you know, you can see that on the second hour, we did see that red candle. Looks like potentially a tweezer top sort of candle there. That never played out though, because you usually would expect to maybe see a continuation coming back down, maybe hanging around in the support area, and maybe kind of close around the area, you know, normal circumstances. But I guess we did see thrust above it towards the end of the last hour today. And looking at things going into tomorrow, at least early morning, that is a good sign. Even if we see a pullback, you can see that even if we see a pullback, there's a potential scenario where that prior pivot could act as support, right? So there's advantage in that. Advantage that we did see the price getting above this pivot at 322 versus if you would have just maybe, let's say we closed today like this, like that. Like let's say this is where it closed with the doji last hour beneath the 322. Well, with that, there's still a resistance. See that resistance there, that resistance there. We just filled the gap. We're hanging around there. So there's a little bit more risk. If we do see a pullback tomorrow, there isn't any support until, because this gap got filled this morning, there isn't any support until this thing coming back down to possibly 322, back down 319. There's a midterm moving average there. But because of this thrust, a little bit of thrust, towards the end of the last hour today, that gives you a little bit of cushion going into early tomorrow morning. Should the price pull back, 322 could act as support there. My short-term moving average is right here. We got a little bit of scooping action right there, right? Scooped it up, got above it. We are making micro to short-term higher highs here. And so we're building micro-term bullish trend. And so, and again, we talked about it. We looked at this extensively over the weekend. And one of the main theme was, well, you know, let's continue to give benefit of the doubt because we are staying above my midterm moving average and my midterm moving average continues to rise higher. And you can see that even today, rise a little bit higher there. So I think going into tomorrow, overall sentiment is bullish. Short term is bullish. We cleared this level here, 322. That makes it bullish in the minor term, short term, midterm, and long term. Right? So it's completely different sentiment than Friday. Friday, I gave you, Friday night, analysis, I gave you short term bearish with the midterm neutral to bullish. But with this recent move today, today's move, that sentiment changed quickly. There, obviously, the short-term sentiment is going to change back and forth quite a bit, right? Tomorrow, we could have a whole new short-term sentiment. But the sentiment that's not going to change a lot is the midterm sentiment. Usually, it stays for potentially, couple weeks to a month plus. You can see that once we clear that, above my midterm moving average, and then price cultivated that higher high for the first time right here, right? That's low. That's the first time cultivating, right? After this thing started pulling back in late June, ever since then, the sentiment since early July, that midterm sentiment has not changed. We did see these pullbacks, so it means short-term sentiment has been changing back and forth. And we also talked about that in the weekend video that, well, you see these pullbacks in an uptrend, right? That's how this market moves and cultivates an established uptrend with the higher lows and higher highs. And we wanted to give, we talked about how overall posture going into tomorrow, going into the Monday, which is today, which I talked about on the weekend, should be overall bullish, right? So we got some little bit of action here, bullish action. Let's see if we can see a continuation, right? We all know that one day price action does not make a trend. And that's something that I talked about here, even here, right? It needs more to establish a trend. But thing about that is we were already kind of in an uptrend in the midterm here. As you can see, we've been cultivating higher lows. So we've been actually in a bullish uptrend in the midterm since the that late June lows there. So now this turns out to be potentially that higher low before this market get up and make higher high there. So we're looking for a follow through tomorrow for the buyers. And for the bears, probably want to get below 322 as quickly as possible and trying to kill this momentum. I mean, is that a possibility? Some kind of shenanigan? Yes. This is a market, man. This is not going to be a market without shenanigans, right? Everything looks so bullish. It clears the resistance. We're back above all the moving averages. Looks like that's a good cultivation of higher low, man. And everything says this is going to go up to 327, retest that, possibly go further and fill the gap above it. And then next day you come to the market, this thing is down like a couple percentage and then just trading at 320. That kind of stuff is very normal. So none of us should be fearing that or going just freaking out every time you see a shenanigan, because shenanigan is just normal behavior of this market. You guys understand? Let's look at the oscillator real quick. So I tweeted it out this morning, midday when this thing crossed up here. So since then it's separating, and the oscillator itself is pretty bullish at this point. So oscillators actually is telling us pretty bullish story. So you can see if I just go back to May, that's a bullish, well, that's a bullish, and this is a bullish. And usually when they do cross up and go up this much, almost halfway of the band, usually, normal circumstances, they're going to get up to at least, this level here, 80 or something like that, at least some of these levels. So what that means is, unless a shenanigan, if market is going to give us some smooth action, right? Going into tomorrow and couple days, in the next couple days, we should see price continue to advance, and we should see the oscillator continue to advance, right? So I'll come back to you guys tomorrow. I'll tweet things out if I see a shenanigan or if I see my oscillator, you know, coming back down or something like that. But as of today, as of now, as of this moment, everything seems to be bullish here, and buyers are looking to see a follow through tomorrow. Another thing can happen is price can move sideways and oscillator could continue to rise higher also. So buyers want to really materialize, take advantage of this situation, this bullish situation as much as they can by bringing up the price. Best case scenario for the buyers is seeing some sizable gap up tomorrow morning. Sizable gap up, maybe, you know, 1% or something like that. And that could get us to go up and fill this gap, at least some of this gap, and then make new highs there, right? Bears needs to get back below 322, kind of kill this momentum as quickly as possible, get below this short-term moving average, and then potentially you want to get below 319 and get below that moving average. And right now the trend says up, so only way for the bears trying to make this, you know, it would be some kind of shenanigan move where we see some kind of like just out of nowhere gap down or out of nowhere sell off. But the probability favors the buyers going into tomorrow, at least early morning tomorrow. So we'll come back tomorrow night. I'll look at this again. We'll re-examine. I'll tweet things out at 2K Kim on Twitter and StockTwits. We'll go from there. You guys enjoy your evening. Good luck trading tomorrow.